Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ, and welcome to our week of pocket-sized science fiction tabletop role-playing games with unique features and creators. And I thought I would do a spotlight on a few of the science fiction games that I have that are, I believe, is a good transition for players in your group that love fantasy, but you really want to introduce something new. Usually lower page count, interesting mechanics, interesting backgrounds, and they are pocket-sized. So we're going to introduce to you today to Fluxfall Horizon. Oh no, we're going to get into it. So the most interesting thing about this game is not the game itself, but who created it. So we take a look at the very bottom of this. Sorry about those ring lights, because it's this pretty glossy cover. If you take a look at the bottom, it says Dave Thaumavore, and did I spell his name correct? Yep. Dave Thaumavore has a review channel, pretty large review channel that goes into depth in reviewing tabletop role-playing games. As a matter of fact, you know what? I should have brought this up. I'm going to find his YouTube channel. And this individual has created a tabletop role-playing game, and I'm very surprised that more people haven't talked about it. So, since we're going to talk about science fiction, this one's specifically about time travel and sliding, which is continuum of traveling using tachyon fields and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we're going to talk about. But first of all, let's go to Dave Thaumavore's channel and show that out here. You're so funny. I get it. I was like, wait, what? All right, so here we have Dave Thaumavore's channel, and of course you can go to the channel, type it on in, and you can find out what Fluxfall Horizon is about. Now, Fluxfall Horizon was produced, what year was it? 21, 22, and of all things, it even has an open license opportunity. Now, this game is a Powered by the Apocalypse game, and how many subscribers does he have so far? Just shy of 35,000, 244 videos. So yeah, cool dude. So for this game, we're going to talk about Fluxfall Horizon, and let's replace this with the PDF of the same name. So if you are in any way familiar with sliders, travelers, continuum, quantum leap. Hey Drew, yeah, one of the subscribers to Dave's channel. Yeah, me too. You will know what this game is about, and this Powered by the Apocalypse game is very much in that spectrum. So here's a very, very generalized background of the game, and strangely enough, as generalized as I'm going to give you, he puts a lot of tools in here to say, what is the term? He puts a lot of knobs to turn so that on the surface you go, oh, well, here's the general background, but for your players and your world, you could alter it a little bit, quite a bit, as a matter of fact. And he adds in little features here and there that I appreciate, because he even gives shout outs to games like ICRPG and that kind of thing. So what is the background of Fluxfall Horizon? So there is something known as Flux Tech. Flux Tech allows those of you living in the 24th century to travel through time. And that technology in general is called Flux Tech. And traveling through time, when it started in its inception, has caused some harm to the time-space continuum. And you, as players, are members of these excursion teams that go through, essentially, you travel the outskirts of the time-space continuum to go to parallel Earths and put right what is wrong. Now, put right is capitalized. Capital P, put, capital R, right. And your job is to put right what is wrong in these parallel Earths. And the Fluxfall Horizon is similar to a black hole horizon, where the players skirt the outsides of the damage to the continuum to fix it so that it will not unravel the time-space continuum. That is generalization. There is a corporation known as Chronocore. The Chrono Corporation gives you your technology, and that is where you jump through. But that is about all you need to know, as you basically portray characters from this fictionalized 24th century utopia of sorts. Utopia question mark? And go to these parallel Earths. And the main job is to put right what is wrong with whatever parallel Earth you go to. But it's a little bit deeper than that, all right? So the first part that is important to understand, and I like this in-world tension timer. So if you guys are familiar with ICRPG, which I guess I should do a little shout out to that game. In ICRPG, there is a tension timer. Basically, you roll a D4, and whatever number comes up in that many segments of time, rounds, turns, whatever, something dramatic happens. In this game, there's an individual here, an older gentleman, and in his hand is something known as a hub. And that hub is what the players, printed on it will be the put right. It's the mission statement. And the mission statement, meta-wise, is also the mission statement in-game that appears on the hub. What do you need to put right? And the mission statement could be very, very vague. Ensure Wendell and Anna arrive at the coronation. And you're just like, wait, what? Who? Where? When? And it could be disarm the antimatter device that will detonate within 72 hours. It could be protect the important dignitary that will prevent the Earth's core from, I don't know, turning to iron or something. Whatever the mission statement is, it will appear on the hub. The other thing that will appear in the hub is your time limit. And there is a built-in time limit in getting the missions done, because as players, all of them have like a little receiver that's on their belt, and you need to be within 10 feet of the hub before you go into Fluxfall and get transported to yet another parallel Earth to solve that issue. And so there is a bit of a heist mission. We need to get this thing done, but we also, it's necessary for us to arrive at a certain spot and be together at a particular time and place to do a thing. And so there is a I like that tension timer part of it, because if the players are not available, they will get sucked into the Fluxfall Horizon, but if they're not close, they'll do damage to the continuum, and that presents even further problems. And of course, if you do damage to the continuum, that means you get thrown into locations maybe you don't want to be there, or you get pushed into a parallel Earth that's even more divergent than the one you needed to be in, things like that. So pretty fun. Here's all the credits. Again, written by, written by Dave Thaumavore. Art by Dan Morrison. I like it. I when I was very young, I didn't like scatterpunk art, but I really like it. It's very good. It's kind of chunky and descriptive, but it's vague enough that where you could apply yourself into that position. So, boom, boom, boom. In a nutshell, here we go. Sorry, So in a nutshell, what this game is about. Parallel Earth's role-playing game. The game master and one or more players sits at a table to simulate the adventures of player character plane travelers or lancers from 2390 who have to scramble to solve episodic situational problems in various alternate versions of Earths. As the lancers tumble through worlds due to a malfunctioning flux tech device, they're expected to survive the environment through each jump or flux fall. If they fail to do so, both they and the continuum take damage, and over time it can prevent them from ever returning to their home Earth. And there's some fun. It sounds like, well, maybe if you're someone who doesn't really like episodic mission-oriented storytelling, I will tell you that there are some very imaginative, interesting plot lines that are story hooks that you can pull, threads that you can pull on. That's very fun. So, of course, it's the Apocalypse Engine. And this is essentially the order of how a game progresses. And I like this because it's very upfront. So it says first there's the initial jump or lance to another Earth, and every character starts with their own secret objective. The trip is supposed to take the team to a specific parallel Earth and then return them home. And I want to highlight this secret objective. First, let me see what you guys have to say, if anything, because my chat disappeared. What if you just end up in a primitive epoch and choose to stay and plunder with no put right? Any penalty there? Yeah. Well, technically, yes, there is a penalty, kind of. So the answer to the question of can you just go to some primitive place and basically make yourself into a godling? The simple answer is yeah, you can do that. And guess what? People have done that. And or they hint that people have already done such a thing, so you may not be the first one. And also, it doesn't mean they can't send lancers after you because you're affecting the time stream, which who's to say that you as player characters who stop at some primitive Earth and you try to make yourself into godlings, who's to say that the next team that comes after you isn't exactly you going after a team who did the first thing in the first place, which is why you were sent there. So on one hand, it sounds like a very easy, like, well, we're player characters, we're just going to muck up the time stream. And then you realize, wait a minute, maybe we've done this before. There is a lot of paralleling. There's even things known as duplicates and doppels. And players, when they travel to different parallel Earths, may meet their doubles and doppels. Duplicates, doubles, and doppels that appear in these other places. So lead your players into a false sense of security and then smack them in the back of the head after licking your fingertips that, come on, stupid, you can't be the first person that thought of this, right? So we'll get back to the secret objective portion of this, which I really like. And it's something that is embraced in Powered by the Apocalypse games, because Powered by the Apocalypse games are run in a manner of let's play to find out, not let's play to win. So the game initial mission is the put right, which is important, but maybe with your group, that's not the importance. Maybe the importance is to play to find out. So first you lance to another Earth, and every member of the team has a secret objective. Then immediately things go wrong. The first Earth never, well, I think there's a little mistake here. The first Earth never what the team of Lancers had originally planned. So you get there and you realize this isn't exactly going the way we wanted it to. And that's important with Powered by the Apocalypse. It's less about how do you succeed and more about creatively coming up with why didn't you get what you wanted. Um, yes, you proceeded. Like, for example, let's do something very simple. Player characters break into a room that's got a locked safe, and there's something important behind it, important documents, a MacGuffin, and someone has a partial success in getting into the safe and getting the documents. So you have to come up with why it is that you have progressed in your situation, but also created a complication. So did you successfully open up the safe, but a silent alarm went off? Did you successfully open the safe, but the windows and doors all locked behind you? Did you successfully open the safe, but there's a hidden tracker on the MacGuffin, the thumb drive or whatever that you stole, and the authorities are tracing you? Did you open up the safe, find out what was inside the safe, and then all of a sudden all the documents are destroyed, and now you don't have proof that you found out what you did? It's coming up with interesting complications while still falling forward, and Powered by the Apocalypse games embrace that idea. The device that lances them, the quantum puck, displays a team goal or put right, and then the team can damage the continuum with failed flux tech rolls. Damage triggers change and chaos to the environment around them in the form of complications. And then a session will end with some finality if it's a one-shot, or on a cliffhanger if it's a continuing series. In other words, you get shunted to yet another parallel Earth, and such. And here we have the safety tools and things of that nature. But we're gonna go to creating a Lancer, and then we'll go into what you guys have to say. Come on, chat, pop on back up. There we go. The Yankee says, I wonder what a timeline is supposed to look like. Are you supposed to save the baby dictator, preventing the actions of another time traveler? Wonder what the ethics are. Well, that and again, this is a PbtA game, so the answer to that question is, there's a song that says, the answer that you want is the question that you ask. It's an old Coheed Cambria lyric, I believe, is the answer that you want is the question that you ask. So asking the ethics of that thing is the adventure, right? Like, for me, I'd be like, yeah, I'll play that game, because what if the players discover, what if the puck that this character is holding tells them you're supposed to go to a timeline to save the baby dictator, and then there's another Lansing team that's supposed to come there and delete this child who will grow into becoming a dictator. And what's the ethics of that? Like, should the players involve themselves? Maybe someone didn't trust the players to do the job. Is there a secret objective that a player is performing that runs counter to the actual mission statement that what they're supposed to do with the child? Maybe one of the players is like, I'm not going to prevent the loss of this child. It's wrong. And that's their secret mission statement. Now, the secret objective, the secret mission, in normal role-playing games, having a player work against the group is horrible, because winning is the goal. But in Powered by the Apocalypse, working against the group could be encouraged, because the other players know that your success as a player is dependent upon embracing your weaknesses, your foibles, you working against the main objective, which creates more storylines. Which, what if the players take this child and go to another parallel Earth? That is the story. So there isn't how do I explain this? On the surface, yes, you can play this game very straight, very, very straight. One shot, go to parallel Earth, ensure that Wendell and Ariana arrive at the coronation, and they did the put right, and you're done. Very upfront, very forward. But you can play this game where there's a lot more to deal with than a little bit. So when playing the game, you pick a type There's 10 types, and there's like a Discord server and other people that have created other types of characters. But for the most part, these are your generalized types. And then you choose a name and details, of course. And we'll go into the types. There's a small list right here. Junior and senior executive corporate, military soldier or officer, a planetologist or quantologist. There's a navigator, neophyte, or elder, or you can play a tourist or bystander. And these are various types of characters. Now, if you're familiar with the old television show Sliders, you'll understand where like the scientist and the civilian, like the tourist and the bystander come from. Because in Sliders, if I can generally tell the origin, you had yourselves your people who purposely slid through time, and then you had your bystanders that were like, I don't understand why I got brought along with you guys. And the entire show was an episodic show about how these players, how the characters in the show transport to different parallel Earths where time has shifted, and they put right their situations, and that's what this game is about. So this is a secret objective. They should be kept secret from other players, but not the GM. I know I've played with players when I was much younger that were kind of idiots about like, it's a secret from everybody, including the GM, and that doesn't make any sense. They're an optional motivation for your character, pursue or ignore it. And fulfilling one is rewarded with an epiphany, at which point you may choose or create another secret objective. And once you get your epiphany, it's like points, like experience points, things of that nature. And they talk about secrets and how to work with the secrets. And of course, they have a list of secrets. So then you fill in your stats. Each archetype has a set of starting stats on their respective page. And these are your stats: power, movement, mental, tech, and flux tech. And flux tech is the time traveling technology. So someone may have tech, which could just be like modern technology, like cyber technology or computer hacking. And flux tech is specifically with the time traveling stuff. And then you choose two specials. Specials are like special abilities or access or concepts for your character. And then you have a special connection with someone or something, an NPC. And the fun thing about having a special connection is that when the players flux fall into parallel Earths, the NPC you have a connection with may not be the same or similar NPC to different worlds. Some of them may be lost loves, and here they have examples of some. Current or former spouses, ex-spouses, mentors, bosses, subordinates, enemies or frenemies, best friends, brothers, sisters, grandparents, fathers, parents, and things like that. And depending on which time you go to, you can affect, like maybe this person doesn't know who you are. Maybe in another world, they don't remember the harm that you caused to them or something like that. And then of course, we have tables here. There's a lot of tables to turn to twist the knobs with. So we got a lot of that. And of course, we have the gear. And because you're from the 24th century, you're given some basic types of gear, things like a flux tech transceiver, an all-weather door, fiber clothing, and a universal translator. And then there's some other secondary gear that you can pick. That, because it's powered by the apocalypse, it's narrative, so the gear that you get, you just become creative in how you use it to solve problems. A rebreather, tent, ration pills, a disruptor pistol, ultra med kit, a science box, maybe some light armor, things like that. Here's some great artwork here with some technological pieces around them. Draw a portrait and choose a core goal. So we're going to get to core goals and what they're about. So this is the corporate character, and it talks about picking corporate character and a corporate type, and We will move on there. That's the symbol for Chronocore. See what you guys have to say. That's funny. Yeah, I didn't realize I said yeah. You guys pick with me. That now I'm gonna play any game gay. Playing straight is boring. Boom, 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 boom. I love it. So, playing. I mean, these are different types. The corporate, etc., etc. And then there's different things like the corporate handbook. Like if you play this character, here are like your top 4 to 6 mantras if you're playing this character. Like defense contracts. Here's one mantra. Defense contracts. Always be on the lookout for new weapons and tech when you go to slide to these parallel Earths, right? Golden parachute. You know, here we have golden parachute. Secure ownership of a palatial building or residence for retiring executive board members, and so on and so forth. So there are some like personal mission statements, and that's cool. Oh, I'm sorry. Here are some when you pick your character concept, you have certain abilities that are unique to your chosen role in the group. So, for example, in this is corporate, your conceit is a corporate initiative. And if you can get the team to come around and go with your plan before the next lance, you may choose one of the following. You can shed all your conditions, you can heal a point to the continuum, or you take two experience points. And because they listen to you during the mission. So there is a little bit of like a personal mission that you're on, and the other players know that you have this capability. So sometimes when you receive certain conditions, and conditions can be anything from broken bones to hypnotism to being infested by an alien spore, and maybe you get to heal them from that. And then here's a list of secret objectives. Collect evidence of Chronocore rules violations by every member of the team. Procure an important local, cultural, or tribal artifact without getting in trouble. Uncover a key secret of the Order of the Continuum, which is a faction in the game world. Uncover important secret intel from a military team member. Prevent a put right from happening right at the last moment, which is amazing, because how many times have we seen this in science fiction? I'm looking at you, Alien franchise, right? Where there's someone who's secretly working to keep the xenomorph alive and bring it back. And here's another one: obtain an Order of the Continuum special gear item. And so here's a subtype for junior exec, and it gives you your starting stats. For those who, I'm sorry, I didn't bring this up. For those who don't know, Powered by the Apocalypse rolls 2d6. So there's a bell curve, and your stats add or subtract to it. 99% of the time, your stats are going to be between -2 to +2 in your starting stats, and that affects the bell curve when rolling for those particular what they call moves. And there's special gear, and let's page through a bunch of these. This is the senior exec, and maybe one player really wants to play the junior exec, the kiss ass to the senior exec or something like that. There's no one, despite being like junior or senior or subordinate or anything like that, other than the flavor, there's no one player doesn't get more than the other one. This is military, and you get military NPCs and talk about those and some secret objectives. And then you could play the soldier, maybe running around, maybe you're a little bit too aggressive. And here are some capabilities that you can have as a soldier. Like here's one: basic training. You know, always avoid the first simple melee or ranged attack against you from any given opponent in an exchange. And that's kind of cool, right? Hey, you're surprised by an attack or something. Guess what? I literally automatically avoid the first attack. You know, hey, there's an attacker up on the wall. Dodge, right? or stand your ground, or improvised offensive device, or field aid, or things like that. So different capabilities depending on the choice of character you make. There's officer. There's the scientist. Got to have the scientist. It's funny. Sorry. Scientists and the specialization. And here it says, these are based on real science, but not adequately explained here. They're just for fun in this context, right? And you can make up some funny, strange, cute, Star Trek style pseudoscience that you're proficient in. And here's some general ones that you can pick from. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Secret objectives, planetologists, and quantologist as well. Then there's the navigator. Members of the Order of the do not call themselves navigators, but the name does offend. After all, ever since Quantum Corps approached the Order for assistance so many years ago, at the dawn of their quantum exploration, navigation is what the members have done. And they navigate through time and space. And when they arrive at these new parallel Earths, navigate when they arrive on parallel Earths. Because if, as an example, you could be standing on a mountain range in one parallel Earth, but that mountain range doesn't exist in the other world, and you could fall to your doom. And then there's civilians. You can play this is an everyman character type. Maybe you are from a parallel Earth that was destroyed, and you're brought along on a team. Maybe you're a guide from one of these parallel Earths that's just here temporarily because you represent someone. If you guys have ever seen the television show Fringe, something like that have happened. Maybe you're a character that was a duplicate or a double or a doppel from another timeline, killed your double, took their identity, and then joined the Chrono Corps, and you don't really know what's going on, but you're going around following everyone else. Here's some examples of various characters arriving in different timelines. And what page is this specific piece of art on? Let's see. We'll get to page 65 in a minute. All right. Let's draw here. Yeah, we are running the game, aren't we? Yeah. So this is just the like, what does the GM control? What do the players control? And then what does everybody do collectively? So of course it says here the general nature, description of each parallel Earth. Yes, there are plenty of tables to come up with different parallel Earths. If you can't think of it, GM controls all the NPCs, and the GM creates the put rights. And then the players control the Lancer's words and actions, how much importance they put into their team goals and secret objectives. And this is very important because some players are monkey wrenchers, right? They're like, I could care less about the main mission. All I'm here is to engage in my personal objective. So I think it behooves everyone to have a session 0 to go, okay, we are going to focus on the missions itself, and our side objectives are going to be secondary. Or, hey, we're going to do a long-term campaign. Let's get into the drama and get into our secret objectives, and the team goals, not so important. You know, we can keep failing those team goals, and that just creates more drama in the game. Special gear, of course, and then everyone controls the tone of the story, because let's be honest, there's some comedic elements that happen in Sliders and other television shows like Travelers, Continuum, Quantum Leap, and things like that. So the continuum itself has a number, and the continuum, there's a numerical value to the damage done to the continuum, and players need to be careful of that, because the more damage they do to the continuum, the greater chance they A, won't be able to go home, and B, they get sent to more and more harsh parallel Earths. So in a way, success in getting the put right, which heals the continuum, gives them a greater chance of success in the next parallel Earth when they have to again repair the continuum. So there's an actual numerical thing. Here's healing, talks about healing the continuum. I'm not going to tell you how to do that. The truth about the continuum and types of quantum travel. And here it is. It is indestructible. You can fail 100,000 put rights, but the continuum will not perish. It will only try to punish you. It has its own idea of how things should be, and it will attack those who try to change it, much like an immune response. And it talks about some of the realities and session zeros, how to prep a first session, the planned or unplanned lance, the Fluxfall roadmap, and the overall arc, and the default opening scene. And let's get into what you guys have to say about it, and then we'll more detail. Oh yeah. I agree. Yeah. Everything everywhere all at once is very much like this game. I absolutely agree. Why didn't I think it? Man, I missed that one. Yeah. Although, according to the movie, towards the end of the movie, you end up finding out that the characters can get these great skills if they engage in these very strange behaviors, and one of them involved a very large object placed in a very tight bodily orifice. Watch the movie if you haven't done so. It says, wait, if everything happens, does anything matter? And it says, in short, yes. Any accomplishments that Lancers achieve creates countless branching worlds where those victories are echoed. Even in an infinite matrix of Earths, the number of Earths where something was put right by Lancers is significant for an immeasurable number of human beings. Numerical concepts like billions, trillions, and quadrillions don't even scratch the surface of the number of Earths affected by Lancer actions. So the victories do in fact count for something. Because you could get very defeatist in this game if, let's be honest, we are high-minded role players, and you could get caught up in the, well, if everything happens everywhere and there's all these branching timelines, does it really matter? And the point is, yes, it does matter, and it's a role-playing game, so like, don't get too caught up in that that part of it. Also, the game doesn't need to be portrayed as a one-shot, despite the fact we've seen television shows based around the one-shot procedural. So when players go to different timelines, there's nothing saying that they can't go back to those same timelines, or that something happened in one timeline and that the effects of that one parallel Earth ripple through other parallel Earths, either physically, like people, places, or things are transported from one to another. NPCs follow the player characters, and there's even alien races that live and exist outside of the timeline that are also adversaries and things like that. So here it says, here's a puck, a hub, and it says stop the king. And then there's some triggers here. Somebody, looks like someone wrote it down. It says, okay, well, do you kill the king, or marry him, or subvert his courtiers, or destroy the entire kingdom? What does it mean by stop the king? So the put right could be so very general that the players are like, okay, we're going to have to come up with some reason to stop the king. And what does that mean? Does it mean convincing the king of not doing a thing? Or does it mean removing them from their position of authority, or whatever? And it talks about creating creating lances and how to create really good secrets. But let's go to the tables. I believe it. Okay, let's see. So here we have towards the middle back of the book all of the tools that are necessary to, if you are mentally stuck or you need some motivation, or like, man, my brain, I just can't think of anything, I need some starting point. And so all these tables are some version of rolling d6s, 3d6, 2d6, d66, so on and so forth, right? And these are boons. Boons are like, hey guys, you did a great thing. Here's a, for lack of a better term, here's a magic item that you can acquire, which basically are boons. And of course, here's the book with many pages, and it talks about you know, the dice. There's a bunch of parallel earths in here already, and other devices and things like that. So yeah. And yes, I this was a Kickstarter, and my name is in the book. I love it. All right. So we've got boons, complications, what types of complications happen on different Earths that get in the way of the player characters. And when the continuum suffers damage, when they arrive at other parallel Earths, there are other complications that can happen to those places, and they keep stacking and stacking. There are parallel Earth generators tables here. So these cultures, implications, and things of that nature. So we talk about tech level, money, language, clothing. And here we have, based on, remember, because this is time travel, it's not technically space travel. So if you are like, the Olympics are happening now. So if you're in Paris, France in the 18th century may be completely different than Paris in the early 21st century, right? Or 1980s. And of course, these are parallel Earths. So it could be, maybe you don't arrive in the 1960s. Maybe it just happens to be our modern day, but it just seems like the 1960s. We haven't progressed further. And also, depending on, remember, if you're in Paris, France, and you go to a parallel Earth in another Paris, France, you haven't traveled to, say, the United States or Japan or Australia, you know, or the Netherlands or something like that. So you may still need to physically travel in the Earth. There's traditions and things, dog worshiping, tattoos, things like that. Ongoing local events may be happening. Petty political struggle, earthquakes, serial killer, organized crime, ultra dangerous refugees. The ruler has been replaced with the most absurd possible heir. An invasion is imminent, but most people don't believe it. Things like that. Deviations from lots of tables there. Put right generators. And it talks about, most of the put rights involve social interactions of some sort because they're civilization, but there are some examples here for, like, what if you go to a ancient dinosaur area or something like that, or all humanity's been wiped out? Can you still have a put right in those locations? And yes. So here's some general random put rights. So there's an overall theme. You roll a d6, whether it's personal, villainy, invasion, oppression, disaster, redemption story arcs. And then a lot of these, like personal themes. These adventures don't have to be run and gun. Like, for example, amongst all 6 of these personal themes, maybe a Lancer needs revenge. A Lancer's reputation from their past is a put right. Maybe a consequence of a Lancer's first action, maybe before they were recruited. A Lancer singled out for persecution. Maybe a relative of a Lancer or a secret obligation of a Lancer. And this could be going, maybe a Lancer, maybe a double of yourself in a parallel Earth made a decision that you've always regretted making that decision. And this person is suffering. Maybe, if I can make this a little bit more realistic, maybe they're suffering from guilt or PTSD or whatever, and you made that decision and you want to go to the parallel Earth and help them not make the same mistakes you did, you can absolutely positively play Fluxfall Horizon, and all you're doing is solving interpersonal relationships as a put right to then get lanced to another parallel Earth or something. And that was like 99% of the time in what Quantum Leap did that, where it was basically like solving like family dramas, essentially, of people's personal stakes rather than like run and gun. But yeah, redemption themes like an aging hero, rising star disgraced, a former villain, an unbelieved tinkerer, a veteran of a terrible war, a stranded lancer. So you could do many of these, and then we'll get into some story arcs that I think would be very cool. Rolling up random NPCs, you get yourself a bunch of NPCs and NPC quirks, and also player character NPCs could very much change over time. And then we get into the factions. Let's do this. There we go. Chronocore, and that faction of Operation, the company that runs the Fluxfall technology, the Flux Tech, and then there's different ones: Armed Alliance, the Foundation, the Order of the Continuum, and you can use all these for your world building. The World Council, and there's a bunch of scenario seeds and possible existential conflicts, things like that. And then we get into our threat levels. What kind of beings are there through threats and intimidation? Let me see. Here's a 2-pager. So we have ourselves threats to Terranovians, and they are like a mycelial mushroom people, but maybe they're not. So for example, here we have a random table of possible ultimate truths, like number 4. They are humans from another Earth wearing highly advanced suits. So maybe they really aren't mushroom people, or number 5, they are trying to create a mycelial defense system against a galactic threat. Or they are an evolved form of a navigator who has lanced too many times. Does that mean the players will turn into these people? Who knows? And so yeah, leadership structure, and there's even NPCs you could create if they become allies in a great war or whatever time. There's the Weavers, big spiders. And let's see if we can get a picture of the Weavers. Here we go. Phenotypes for the Weavers. The Knight or the Footman, the King, the Silk Lord, and the Queen of the Weavers. Apparently the Weavers have scattered through all time and space, and there's literally only one queen, even though different timelines have shown different queens, but actually it's the same queen in different parallel Earths. But it's literally the same queen because each queen has the same mind. It's pretty interesting. I like it. The Visayans are like a lizard folk. They're like lizard people. Gotta have yourself some lizard people. Containment Cell. Containment Cell is essentially the evil Chronocore. It, like Star Trek, it's the evil Federation in space. Maybe they recruit some of the player characters. They're constantly a pain in the ass. And then there's different types of scenarios. We can get at different scenarios and things, and example adventures. Yeah. Okay. Let's get back to what you guys have to say. Here, going to the Olympic Games in 1900. That would be awesome. You're so funny. Oh, man. Does Fluxfall put you in somebody else's body? Though, like Quantum Leap, technically no, but that doesn't mean it can't happen. No. Essentially, you make a character, and you portray that one character. Now, does that mean that can't happen? Yeah, why not? Why not play that? Especially if you have a player who's like, you know what? I don't really want to play a corporate exec. I want to play a soldier. And maybe one of the ideas is like, oh, maybe when you lance, no one knows where you went, and then suddenly here's this other person shows up with some flux technology, and it's like, hey guys, it's me. And they're like, you don't look the same or act the same. Yeah, but it's me, right? I hell yeah, I'd go for that. Is that a direct part of the game? No, but it's very easy to do. You just pick a different type and keep the same personality. Yep, yeah, exactly. Lizard people of the Shadow Government and the Illuminati. Yep, a mystery wrapped in an enigma, stuffed into a puzzle. So, Fluxfall Horizon is really interesting. Yes, you can play this game very, very normal. I was going to say straight again. Very normal, one shot. Hey, go through time, go on a mission to the put right, and come back home. But if you really want to get interesting with it, confront your own individuals that are the player characters given a different set of circumstances. Have failed timelines ripple through other timelines. Maybe they create enemies. Maybe one of the players is captured and they leave behind some of their flux technology, and then that timeline now has access to time travel, and they start traveling. Maybe the players become deific in a specific timeline, and that's a horrible thing. And there are religious zealots that are traveling through time and space, spouting the words of the player characters. Of course, they're doing it all wrong, but they start doing such a thing. So yeah, this is created by one of our own luminaries in our own tabletop community, Dave Thaumavore, who has his own channel. And if you are someone who is not comfortable with or doesn't know how to play Powered by the Apocalypse, I could see this game being a bit difficult. But if you're someone who likes to embrace finding out what's going to happen, then those are the things that I think you would very much enjoy about this game. If you're just I want to say a classic D&D adventurer, this game's probably not for you. But if you are someone who is who very much enjoys, like, let's play to find out. Hey guys, well, what if we do this thing? I don't know. Let's see what happens. So here we have, I'm just going to show off, this is the very last part. These are Powered by the Apocalypse moves. And in Powered by the Apocalypse, let me get back to a one-page spread, sorry, because it's going to make a lot more sense. In Powered by the Apocalypse, you roll 2d6, and you don't look at your character sheet first. Instead, everyone keeps describing what they're doing and getting answers from the game master. And then at a certain point, when we have a randomization happening, that's when we start to go into, okay, let's see what move this most likely represents. So moves are basically like actions or skill attempts in some ways, and they affect the story structure of the game. And so for dice rolls, you roll 2d6, and this is, if you take a look at this bell curve in Powered by the Apocalypse, this is universal. If you roll 6 or less, it's a miss, meaning like whatever was being attempted fails and there are narrative consequences. Partial success is 7 to 9, which is mostly what happens when you roll 2d6. And then success with a minor setback or negative consequence, and then on a 10, 11, or 12, you achieve what you attempted, which is far more rare. So for the most part, the vast majority of time, there will always be a narrative consequence. 6 or less, or partial success, there's always a minor setback or some kind of consequence. On 10, 11, or 12, You do succeed, but it's pretty boring. And so here are the moves: dive into danger, sneakaroo, sneaking around because you're going to do that. Um, and it talks about like how gives you some examples of what they are. Persuade is a move. Demystify is a move. Uh, Here's another unique one for this game: best your double or doppel. And so, unlike the other moves, whenever you confront your double, you instead use this. So, for example, if you try to sneak up on your double, it's a little bit different trying to sneak up on someone who's exactly like you versus sneaking up on your classic guard guarding some kind of a MacGuffin in a secret laboratory or something like that. And talks about like stealth and subterfuge using persuasion, coercion, or intimidation. Um, and then it talks about doubles and doppels. Lancers may encounter counterparts, copies of themselves. Those who are good-hearted are generally called doubles, while those with sinister intentions are called doppels, short for a doppelganger. And we can have a lot of fun with that as well. First of all, from a game master point of view, how easy is it to come up with opposition when you just get to grab the player character's character sheet, right? It's like, yeah, you abuse the game to min-max your character. Guess what? The person you're going up against is exactly like you. Now, does that need to happen that way each time? No. In one timeline, yes, the player is playing a soldier, but maybe instead in this timeline, that character is a social worker or a truck driver or is a victim of a lost war and they lost a limb and they are suffering from the horrors of such a thing. Here we have some more moves: innovate and recover, and tinker with flux tech. And yes, you can tinker with your own flux technology to achieve a goal. And here it is, like says, at first blush, there wouldn't be any reason for a Lancer to mess with flux tech if they and the other players controlling them know such a role is doomed to fail. But both a failure and a partial success here means you gain the intended effect one way or another. And when you say tinker with the flux tech, maybe you don't want the Chrono Corporation to know you're going to a different parallel Earth. We've seen this happen plenty of times in science fiction. Hey, we can't let our bosses know the thing we're going to do. Or there's an innocent victim in this timeline. We need to bring this innocent victim with us. Well, how do we do it if they don't have a transceiver? We're going to affect the flux tech. Or this timeline has been overrun with a intelligent virus that's dominating everything. We need to literally cut off, sever the tenuous relationship this timeline has. How do we do it? Well, let's destroy our flux tech and annihilate this entire timeline universe or something like that. And then there's these are what they call meta moves. The character isn't doing this, the player is doing this. Flashback. Yes, like Blades in the Dark, you can actually do a flashback where you remember something, and I would say you maybe even have done something to achieve something in the present day. So you can do a flashback, a prayer to the void, which is basically, hey, game master, we really don't know what the hell we're supposed to be doing here at this moment. And then you can give out a continuum coin, which is basically like inspiration. You could make it a physical thing in the world, but you don't have to. And there's different types of conditions, example conditions, like a bleeding wound, lasting mental trauma, broken bone, overwhelming emotion, shakes you to the core, illness or disease, ill effects from poison or toxin. Most of these are, common sense will give us physical ones, but there could be some other mental, social, psychological conditions, like maybe a player is leaving a timeline where one of their loved ones is going to suffer untowards what they really want, and they have to leave that person behind. and maybe the player's distraught about that, and they're like, I can't believe we left behind that person. Thank you. But so anyway, guys, thank you very much for letting me show off this game, Fluxfall Horizon from the 24th century. The game really doesn't happen at all in the 24th century. That just happens to be the background of the game. But if you wanted to, I suppose you could have Star Trek style, we need to talk to the leadership parts in the game, maybe downtime, or it could be a prologue or epilogue or something. I could see that happening. But basically the game happens in these parallel Earths. For what I would suggest also is get your players involved. Let your players come up with one or more, interesting parallel Earths. Listen, we've seen plenty of time travel movies and television shows. So pull from that. The idea of you know what I'm going to say, it's very classic. What if Hitler, what is the man in the high castle? What if Germany and Japan infiltrated and invaded the United States, right? What if some historical event did not happen the way we know it to happen on our Earth? And go from there. With the role-playing game Coyote and Crow is about a game in which the indigenous peoples of what we call today the United States were never colonized. The people there just live their lives. What would that role-playing game be like? And so we can pick many historical events or non-historical events, like maybe the asteroids never came to Earth and destroyed the dinosaurs, and people are riding on dinosaurs in a modern era. Just be very creative with it to create some of these worlds. And then let's get a little personal. Let's get personal, right? You have your put rights, and some of those put rights can be run and gun, destroy the program, sabotage the device, stop the robot invasion, assassinate the political person, whatever, run and gun things, right? A lot of combat. But Powered by the Apocalypse is far better when it comes to normal human motivations. Maybe it is helping a duplicate of yourself reconnect with a loved one. Maybe it is maybe you were downtrodden and poor, and in this other world you found a copy of yourself who's very rich and powerful, and what you want to do is secretly make a connection with this person so that they become your, like, I am the mistake you may make. If you make the wrong move, don't become like me. Maybe the players find out a secret about one of their own members from a duplicate, not directly from their own character, right? Maybe they go to another timeline, pull the mask off of the bad guy, and it happens to be one of the players, and the player's standing there like, that's not me. I'm here. They made a different choice, and everyone looks at that player like, different choice, but that's you. That's you who made it. Like, are you going to turn out like this person? I don't know. So, Fluxfall Horizon. Guys, check out the game. All the links, by the way, to all these games are in the doobly-doo. In many ways, this is what I consider to be a rules-lite or light-ish game, with a complex method in how it is portrayed in the tabletop community. And by the way, it's made from one of our own luminaries. So get the PDF, or now I have the hardback version that I got from the Kickstarter. I'm not sure if the hardback version is still available, but yeah, have some fun. And yes, you can even play someone older. Hey, for us old heads, I really like a game that allows us to play some old head role-play games. So guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. Thank you very much for allowing me to show this off to you guys. It's there. Some of the example. Here we go. Let's see. Nope, 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 nope. Some of the example timelines in here are pretty fun, and they have these different scenarios. Pax Americana, the world has succumbed to the cultural exports of the United States, which itself has become extreme in its most questionable and cultural tendencies. This was written back in 20 and 21, where it's becoming real. Scenario number 2, Dice Master. The societies of the world are dominated by one kind of fantasy lark or another, and aided by nanite clouds that complete the constant illusion. Kind of fun. Mesozoica. The mission was simple: lance into an Earth where the dinosaurs never died out, extract the people or samples, lance home, but nothing is what seems on this dino-ridden planet. There's the game show. This is a fun one. Lancers find themselves stripped of their flux tech and equipment and forced into playing in a twisted televised game show. There's also Oceanus, where the ocean levels have risen. There's Serpents of Polaris. The Serpentine Visayan have arrived in their interstellar fleet, and they will not leave until they have gotten what they wanted. And what do they want? Every last drop of resources. And then lastly, there's the corporate earnings. The first Chronocorp was not from home Earth, but from an alternate one in which the corporate greed and dominion became the rule of law. Lancers will quickly discover what this first Chronocorp wants and at what terrible lengths it will go to secure it. So there's internal strife, there are factions, maybe the players are sent on a mission that is yay, we can play Waterworld. Exactly. We can play with all kinds of alternate Earths that are dominated by cultural factions, Earths overrun by trash and debris, our own hubris, nuclear war, artificial utopias, specific cultures like indigenous peoples, Viking cultures, Japanese samurai culture, piracy, whatever the case may be. You could do all these things. And of course, you don't have to make it real world. Aliens, magic, cyber technology, superheroes, giant robots. You can go crazy with it. And maybe, just maybe, you can let the players leave with a little bit of those doodads. There are no specific rules for modifying the players, meaning like there's no list of cybernetics, there's no rules about magic, there's no rules about psychic powers or shape-shifting or anything like that. But you can make that up. This is powered by the apocalypse. It's easy to make that stuff up. So for like a little boon here and there, maybe a player character finds a single one ring in a alternate Earth. Right? How about the Earth never cooled world and you instantly burn to a crisp? Well, there is a reason why, and they do. I'm not going to turn the page. In world, there's a reason why you can't go. Not can't. It is unlikely you will go to an Earth where you will instantly die. So first of all, Chronocorp has mapped out those worlds where there's instant death. Second of all, the people, as an agent, you're very valuable. So sending you into certain death is not really a smart thing to do. And lastly, part of it is fun, right? Like you really want the players to be able to do a thing. So yes, could you lance into a world that was burned to a crisp and the atmosphere was burned off the Earth and they're wearing vac suits that are, hardened against radiation to find something that was at this new place? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe they find an old group of Lancers that have lived in the subterranean portions of this Earth that were never able to go back, and they try to steal your flux tech so they can leave you behind and they go time traveling, right? A lot of stories to play with. Maybe the Lancers that destroyed this Earth, they caused it in the first place. So while it might be a rescue mission, and an information gathering mission, maybe the players are like, we should turn this into a rescue mission instead. Why doesn't Chrono Core want us to bring these people back? And you find out that they're like some nihilistic cult, or they're carrying some kind of nanotech virus inside their system, or whatever the case may be. There's a xenomorph growing inside of their abdomen or something. You guys are funny. So anyway, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. I can't remember what tomorrow is going to be. I don't remember. Let's see what is tomorrow's. No. Oh, Substratum Protocol is tomorrow. We get to talk about with Substratum Protocol, we get to talk about using playing cards. It is a solo plus RPG, so you could actually play it by yourself. So those kind of things. So guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. Please check out Fluxfall Horizon, and also if you like the channel and you want me to do more things like this, please let me know whatever you had. Yep, Substratum Protocol happens tomorrow. As a matter of fact, let's see. so Wednesday. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Let's see what. What is my thing tomorrow? Let's share this out here. Yeah, this is my home page. this is my home page for streaming. But right now, yep, it'll be Substratum Protocol is tomorrow. So guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. Thank you very much for. If you take a look, this is what I see. This is what I see from my point of view from you guys when I'm doing the show. So pretty fun. Pretty really strange to actually see that. So let me get that out of the way so you get to see this. So anyway, guys, have a great one. Wednesday tomorrow. Have a good Monday part 2. Yep. And we'll get ready for hump day. So guys, have a great one. Thank you very much for being part of the show. I'm out. And so should you guys. Peace and tranquility. Bye.